All right, it's okay. If you had to ask somebody what Riz was, let me see. Or maybe you're still wondering. You can raise your hand. Okay, that's all right. If you have tweens or teens in your house, you know all about Riz. Riz refers to charisma, but also to someone's ability to attract others to them. You know it when you see it, if somebody's got that mad Riz. A few weeks ago, I was obsessed with the internet sensation of the beatboxing nuns of Brazil. Anyone else? You too. They were on a talk show to promote their original song they had written, in Portuguese, of course, all about vocation. In fact, I believe the only word to the song is vocation, sung over and over.
Vocação, oh, vocação, oh, vocação, oh, vocação. Rapaz, que é isso?
Gente, é um show de talentos aqui. So I was watching this, and my kids come running in from the other room to find out what new rap star I had discovered. And when they saw it, they asked the question that you're asking yourself right now. Yo, how are those nuns so rizzy? I'm teaching you a lot about the linguistics of how you can use this word. It is in the dictionary this year. You got to look it up. So this all got me thinking about the origins of this term charisma, which I do know comes from the Latin charis, gifts of grace, charm, and goodwill bestowed by the Spirit. And I wondered why these nuns were so free, proud. Did you see their pride and their skill? So practiced in their gifts of beatboxing, which contrasts with the more common portrayal of nuns as serious, rule-abiding taskmasters, stoics, really. But how do you solve a problem like Maria? I wondered, is there more to the story of monastic life after all? I mean, it's looking pretty good to me. Charisms, spiritual gifts, are known in the Catholic Church as special abilities, a special empowerment bestowed by the Holy Spirit, enabling a person to be powerful channels of love and redeeming presence in the world, whether extraordinary or ordinary. Charisms are to be used always in charity or in service to build up the church or the world community. A charism is always deeply connected to faith and is always an expression of the relationship with the holy. And in this way, it differs from a natural or a learned ability. A charism, exercised correctly, draws other people, not only to you, but other people to God or to Spirit. For instance, we can take art courses and learn to paint a picture. The ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, however, draws people to God. Stained glass windows in a church do the same. Do you see the difference? So there are 3 signposts of a charism. How do you know it's a charism? There is an unmistakable, and you can tell me if you saw this in the beatboxing nuns. There is an unmistakable inner experience of peace, energy, and joy when you are using the gift. Number 2, usually it is effective and successfully results in the thing you're trying to accomplish. So it's also very just objectively great beatboxing. And third, other people's direct or indirect recognition of the gift's presence. So people are attracted to that and want to be a part of it and see what's going on. They want to learn more. So when exercising your charism, there is a natural flow and ease about the entire experience. There is a sense that you fit, that you have found your place, that you can be truly yourself, and at the same time, an agent of goodness that far exceeds what you ever thought possible. So, my question is, for you, what are your charisms? And how would you name and claim your charism? So many charisms are actually, even though they are like special powers, they are actually quite ordinary. They are these things that others recognize in us and find just a little bit mysterious. Like, how are you so good at that? They find it amazing, wondrous, and magnetic. How can I learn something like that? But in case you think charisms and charisma is all about things like preaching and public speaking and singing, well, think again. As I share with you some of the charisms that the church recognizes, I wonder if you will recognize yourself. So these are charisms in the Catholic Church. There is the charism of administration. This is one who is great at planning and coordination and is desperately needed to accomplish the good works. There is the charism of craftsmanship, which empowers one to be an effective channel of holiness to others through artistic or creative work that beautifies the physical world. I'm thinking of some of our members' contributions to this space that we have called holy. There's the charism of giving. Those with this charism find giving to be their idea of a really good time. And also, they seem to have a special ability to make money pretty easily and are provided with unexpected resources in often surprising ways. I'm thinking maybe of the Capitol campaign when we had a few surprises at the very beginning and just couldn't believe it. Like, how? How does this happen? The charism of hospitality empowers someone to be a generous channel of love by warmly welcoming and caring for those who are in need of food, shelter, and friendship. Whoever welcomes the stranger welcomes Jesus. People are first attracted to a church because maybe of the preaching or worship, but they stay because of the hospitality and the friendships they build there. There's the charism of knowledge, not just knowledge that you keep, right? Not just reading books, but sharing knowledge. There's the charism of healing, the charism of discernment, helping people make decisions, the charism of teaching, which many of us do in religious education and out there in the world, the charism of music, and honestly, there are many, many more. There's the charism of service, the charism of mercy, who listens to the hard things going on and offers a sense of mercy. Now, these Catholic monastic orders, such as the Jesuits, the Carmelites, there's one more charism I really want to share. So the charism of service empowers someone to be a channel of holy purposes by recognizing the logistical gaps or unmet needs that can prevent good things from happening, by personally doing whatever it takes to solve the problem and meet the need that nobody thought was a need at all. I mean, every community needs like many of those people, all right? So these Catholic monastic orders, such as the Jesuits, the Carmelites, the Franciscans, were often devoted to just one charism. So everyone in the monastery was just working on craftsmanship, or they were just working on mercy, or they were just working on knowledge, or beer, I think. So obviously, these Brazilian nuns are from an order that specializes in the charism of rapping and beatboxing, I assume. Now, I found this ancient Catholic understanding holds deep wisdom for us, because how many of us believe that any great leader worth their salt should really have all of these charisms and more? How many of us believe deep down that any good minister should really have all of these charisms? And what happens when we do that is we become disappointed at each other's limitations instead of wonderstruck by one another's gifts. Rather than pick apart our leaders or each other for our imperfections or the times we get it wrong, what if we support each other discerning our specific gifts, our authentic gifts, and we recognize each person has an opportunity to fill in a gap beautifully with their unique gift. I mean, we have Rob Mitchell, who has a very specific gift for keeping this, this music stand upright so that we can have it. Maybe you have struggled to imagine yourself on the front lines of the resistance movement against fascism right now. Maybe you can't really see yourself with the bullhorn or up on a dais somewhere or getting arrested. Maybe that's not for you. But can you write a letter to the editor like Sarah Patterson did just this week? Can you drive an undocumented student to school every Saturday, demonstrating the charism of service? Can you join a monthly effort to feed the hungry in our community at our monthly community food bank we've started running at UUCA that will be taking place this coming Friday? I think that's right. Can you provide a healing meditation or a Tai Chi class for activists who are in need of nervous system regulation? Can you join the John Bolton baking ministry and bake some cake for the good people of UUCA who hunger for something sweet to get them through their week? There are so many more ways to join and to participate with your special gifts. So when you think about your role in the community or in the resistance movement or in the congregation, everything you offer and everything you can imagine offering, well, that is your Riz. That is your charismatic gift to the community, infused with the Holy Spirit, infused with your spirit, buoyed by the myriad gifts in the congregation, where we then proudly brag on our specific Riz. Okay, that's part of it. I mean, they had to go on television, right? They were not humble. They were not hiding. Rather than beat ourselves up because we don't contain every single charism that a person could potentially have to offer. Maybe we just have that one. I don't think, maybe that nun does not do any other thing but beatbox, but that is enough for me. Like, I'm fine with that. My colleague and friend, Reverend Sadie Lansdale's definition of charisma is that charisma is the way others will feel more alive in your presence. Charisma, she says, is the spiritual core of a resistance that will live, and within which we can live full lives. So here's an example. In her church, she said I could share this with you. At the Unitarian Congregation of Greensboro, there's a guy named Ken Knight. Ken used to be an angry anti-war activist. For decades, he was particularly disturbed by the U.S. intervention in Nicaragua. Fist in the air, always fighting the powers that be. You could argue that was his charisma, as, of course, outrage is its own kind of Riz, for sure. Only problem was, it wasn't drawing anyone to him, nor toward the issue he was fuming about nearly constantly, like, why won't people come to my meetings, where we will be angry together? He was typically alone and wondering why more people didn't join his anti-war efforts. Well, Ken had a friend, Al Brilliant. Maybe you've heard of him. He's the founder of a publishing company called Unicorn Books. And Al introduced him to Thich Nhat Hanh and brought him on a meditation retreat. After sitting in mindful meditation for some days and experiencing a sacred connection, Ken realized he no longer had to be an anti-war activist. No, he could become a pro-peace activist. This idea transformed his entire approach, his strategy, and most of all, his vibe. He credits mindfulness as the practice that called him to persevere and also to care for himself as he did his work and to care for others, to call forth joy in the peace work, even though his central values never changed. Now, Ken is part of a group of peacemakers who gather for various actions and efforts and have much less struggle attracting newcomers to their cause. Because they are mindful, they are caring, they are joyful, they experience more small wins, and then they uplift and brag a little bit about those wins. They share them out. They've got what? Riz. Now I want to show you a picture of some of our UUCA congregants. I think they know they're going to, okay, I think you know that this is happening. Okay, great. Pat Mitchell and Lizanne Moore spoke at a public meeting about the DeKalb County Public Service Commissioners. Now, these are elected officials who negotiate with the power and gas utility companies, supposedly on our behalf, for our rates, and also make decisions that could either protect our natural resources of clean earth, air, and water, or could destroy these resources so the power companies make more money. Pat and Lizanne spoke from the mic, and while I'm sure their words were strategic and rooted in our UU values, I wonder if you noticed something else. I mean, I don't even know if you all noticed this. I don't know if this was on purpose or not, but they are blossoming. They are blooming. They were bringing some color into that gray room. Look at it, it's so obvious. They're reminding everyone of the beauty of the flowers that can grow when we make decisions to preserve our earth rather than desecrate it. I want to join their movement. Don't you? Now remember, I said there's all kinds of Riz. I also want to uplift, not visually, but I will uplift Ed Outlaw, who is another UCA member who also spoke so eloquently from the microphone that day, who did not get the memo about the colorful outfits, so he didn't make it into the photo, but he had excellent Riz nonetheless, and he is also in it for the long haul, and we're very proud of him. Now, last week I discussed the Unitarians and their skepticism, right? Historical skepticism towards revivals, their insistence on being the old lights, their insistence against the new lights of the first and second Great Awakenings, the ones who would call forth the charisma in those revival meetings. And it was our own UUCA member, Herschel Beasley, a man with some of the rizziest sneakers I have ever seen, who reminded me about the Universalists, who were much more amenable to those tent revivals the Methodists and the Baptists were holding during that period at the end of the 19th century. Well, Herschel was totally right. In 1901, a Universalist minister wandered into the wooded pine grove at Ferry Beach, Maine, and he knew it to be a magical place, a clearing where people could gather together for centuries for rest, relaxation, reflection, and renewal. So here's a photo of that very first outdoor revival-style worship that was happening in Ferry Beach that continues today. Now it's a camp and conference center on the edge of the shoreline there in Maine. And even 100 years before that, the origin story of Reverend John Murray, the first Universalist preacher on American soil, preached a little farther south, preached at a chapel in New Jersey. He preached, "Give them not hell, but hope." And he said, and he lifted up a loving God in all praise and hosanna with vigor. There was singing, there was praise, there was similarly like this small wooded praise house in the woods. There was mysticism and vision. And so the Universalists have been more open to the charismatic spirit. So I just want to make that very clear historically, that when we call upon the charisma within ourselves and within our congregation, that is also a part of our tradition and our history as Unitarian Universalists. And I remember in seminary, many of us proclaiming ourselves to be Universalist Unitarians. Seminary, there's a lot of pushing back in seminary, so you have to find something. Our Universalist history often gets less airtime than the well-published, well-educated Unitarians. But we can claim, as I've said, this history that we have always made space for revivals, for praise, for emotions, for Riz. And we know this is World Pride Month. The LGBTQ movement has always celebrated the unique gifts of the subcultures and the individuals who are flaunting their Riz. From drag queens to leather butches to cowboy queers to woodland fairies to bears and otters to punk queers to nerdcore lesbians and on and on with more identities than you could ever imagine. The queer community, so don't come writing to me that I missed some, because I definitely missed some. There's so many. The queer community has become a kaleidoscope of charisms. And I have said this before, but you know drag. This definition of drag is doing more than you can imagine with less than you need. So what if we are the thing that is more than we could ever imagine? So when the movement needs administrative masterminds, I ask you today, congregation, who among you will bring that Riz, the administration Riz? Say, we will, if it's you. Okay. Doesn't have to be all of you, but So when the movement needs music and song leaders, who among you will bring that Riz? If it's you, sing love. When the movement needs people of service who fill in the gaps and do things that everybody else forgot to think of, who will bring that Riz? If it's you, say, oh yeah. Wow, that's good. That's a lot. We'll be good, I think. When the movement needs artists to beautify the spaces where we organize to bring color and beauty to the movement, who will bring that Riz? If it's you, say, all right. When the movement needs healers, who will lend a nurturing ear, a helping hand for those who are battle weary? If it's you, say, come on. You've got the Riz. We don't need to do it all, not all at once. But you do need to know yourself and your gifts so that in our collective leap toward freedom, we will do it celebrating our own special gifts with grace and wonder for all that we are.